Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Linda. How are you? I apologize that the introduction was not shown properly. For some reason, it was on before the show went live. I'll have that fixed. And I have a guest coming on, but she's having problems launching into the station here. I am Dr. Linda Salvin, and I have been doing this show for 30 years. And today I'm going to be talking about out of body experiences. And I am a psychic, a healer, and a medium, and I have been at this for a very long time. Oh, Karina's in chatter. Is Karina coming in to the station? Oh, there she is. Hi. All right. So I see you. You're going to have to sit up a little bit because I can see too much of your bed. All right. Stay backstage till I bring her on. Let me just introduce this. I do things a certain way, and when it doesn't get produced properly, it's upsetting for me because I've been doing it for so long. All right. Let's start over. I'm going to be talking about out-of-body experiences, and I had two of them due to accidents in 1981 when I was in a commercial airline plane crash. A Boeing 737 was crash landed when I was on company business. And the second time was a year later when I was in a fire. I got hit by a fire truck in my car, and I grabbed onto the steering wheel as I saw this truck coming, and I braced myself, which is what we do in fear and panic to protect the body, and it's a natural reflex. And I left my body for the second time. In 1981, I was out of my body for 4 months. I was split in half. I told the doctors, I told the paramedics, I told everybody in my life back then that I'm split in half, I'm split in half, I'm split in half. And I didn't understand what that was. Now, people, this is 1981. Internet didn't hit till 1996. So if you do the math, you're going to realize I was out there becoming psychic and spiritual without anybody to talk to, without anybody to lean on, without anybody to answer questions or explain what was happening. We didn't talk about out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, psychic abilities, or anything like that back in the 80s. They were there. The psychics were there. And I went to a psychic after the accident who told me I was what's called a walk-in. And I said, what's a walk-in? She goes, it's when someone's close to death and they leave their body and another soul takes over. And I said, I was just in a plane crash. This woman's back was to me when she read me as I walked in. And she said, well, whoever entered came in on an angle and is a psychic. I said, I'm not a psychic. Well, 30 years, 40 years later, I am known around the world as a psychic. So there are some real true psychics out there, and I'm one of them. I'm going to be talking about the out-of-body experience, but I want to bring my friend who's also a psychic medium on with us. Her name is Karina. So Karina's coming on. Hi, there you are. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So we're going to talk about out-of-body experiences, which you're aware of and you understand. And you've known me for 15 years or so, maybe 12, 15 years. So you know the different ins and outs of what it's like to be a psychic and operating in two worlds. It's just like, producing the show. I need it done a certain way, but I don't have control. So I'm in the mental. Sure, you could ask a question in a while, Shereen. The physical side of life and controlling life is one thing, but when you're psychic, you're on a whole nother frequency that doesn't blend the two worlds of the spiritual world and the material world. And it's hard for a lot of people to understand the personality shifts, because when you're in the channel or in the frequency or that other space, and then you crash into the body again, that's real stuff. And Karina's witnessed me going back and forth when I get stuck after channeling, where I either can't breathe, or I get nasty, or I get angry because after all these years, I still don't understand how it works, even though I do. And then I sleep a lot because I have to regenerate. It's draining, it's exhausting, but I love helping people. I love it when people come back and say, oh, you were right. I've got one person totally angry at me because nothing I said happened in the way he wanted it, and he burned all the candles, but everything is also in timing, and I am not God. Things happen in time. Spiritually, there is no clock on the other side. We live in linear time, but the spiritual world is on its own. Just like when I had the out-of-body experience. The first one was sliding down the ramp of the Boeing 737, of which I had a premonition the plane was going to crash Probably an hour earlier, I was in the coffee shop at the airport in San Jose, and I told my partner, "Doesn't look like it's going to crack there," and he didn't know what I was talking about. He thought I was tired, but an hour later, we crash landed, and the plane cracked in half on the aisle. I had the vision, so that was my first real premonition back in the '80s. And as I ran from the plane onto the grass, I panned the environment, and I saw the freeway, and I saw the paramedics, I saw the terminal, and then I turned and saw the plane, and I thought, oh my God, I just survived a plane crash. But I realized I was 50 feet out of my body on one side, on the left, and then 5 feet 8 on the right. And that sensation or thing experience lasted 4 months, and nobody could see it. I felt it. But it was like being a cyclops. I saw life out of two different elements or two different levels, and it took a long time. Doctors couldn't figure it out. Everybody thought I was nuts, but as it turned out, I was becoming indoctrinated to becoming a psychic. The second time was when I got hit by the fire truck, and I had another out-of-body experience. And then the third time, it wasn't just out of body, but I had the white light, and I was given the choice to live or die, because I heard the voice say, "Come with us now or stay and do," and I was given a message. So it's been a journey of trying to integrate the inner world, the spiritual world, plus dealing with, paying bills and relationships and family and career and anything else we have in life. But when you have this quote gift, it's difficult. So Karina, how do you explain out of body experiences? I mean, it's a sensation. You can see yourself sometimes hovering over the body. Sometimes it's the light. Sometimes it's the separation, the fragmentation. There's a lot of different ways to define it.
No, everything you've said is absolutely, correct. I've experienced, like two of mine. But it's people on the humane level does not understand like how it all is. They just don't, because they have never had that experience. So to explain it, it's very hard. It's not an easy thing to explain, and you've done a wonderful job of explaining it.
Well, I've been explaining it on radio for 30 years. I've learned how to do it a lot. I mean, that's become my forte, is to help people understand that all this stuff that you hear about is real. The beauty of it is that on the internet, everybody's a specialist in psychics. Everybody's now got a
Oh God,
YouTube
yeah.
channel. Everybody's got out of body, near death, all these experiences.
True.
And they hear me and they go, "Oh, wow, you too?" Well, yeah, I was one of the first talking about it on real radio or terrestrial radio, AM, FM,
Yeah.
30 years ago. But it's
Yeah.
a whole new generation in the digital world. We do have somebody who wanted to ask a question. Shireen, are you still there? Pop into the chat, or because I don't see the chat. Let's see. Oh, there we go. I just had it. What would you like to know, Shireen? I'm glad that you're here. Ask your question. But near-death out-of-body experiences are two different things. You don't always have an out-of-body experience when you've got a near-death situation. So you close to death in a car accident, in a surgical procedure, in a beating, in a shooting. There's plenty of ways that you can escape death. You could be choking.
Right.
And no, you cannot have an out of body experience on purpose. So if you're trying to like create it, no, it
I
doesn't work that way.
know.
But what you're trying to ask, I think, is whether you can astral project. Now, that's a whole different experience where you are out of your body, the soul leaves. But when the out of body takes place, it's the soul, yes, like mine fractured or became fragmented and came in on an angle because of whatever entered me on February 17th, 1981. But the what happened to Karina?
She might have pressed the wrong button. She'll be
Oh,
back, I'm sure.
okay. Yeah. It's just I'm trying to watch all this at the same time. I'm still not used to video and talk. But the out of body experience that happens due to an incident is not the same as when you involuntarily or sometimes through various deep meditations can astral project where you leave your body. It's very different. So the out of body experience usually, like let's take it in a hospital setting, and somebody's having surgery, and you've heard people say, "Oh, I was having surgery. I could hear the doctors try to bring me back, and they were working on me," or my body was up on the ceiling while they were opening me up. You hear these stories from people, which is great because they're aware. And yes, the soul separates. The soul does. I'm getting chills as I say it, so I'm telling the truth. And whenever you get chills or goosebumps, that's spirit saying yes. That's confirmation of soul, spirit. So the out of body experience isn't like you just sit here and you meditate and all of a sudden you're out of your body. That would be more of the astral projection of the soul. But the out of body is from impact and to protect harm, pain, or due to the shock of whatever the incident might be, like a plane crash. I mean, a Boeing 737 is not a little toy. It's not like, a little bumper car at the pier. No, I got hurt. I was in the hospital for 4 days. The worst incident or the worst accident victim, I think, had 6 or 7 broken ribs and a punctured lung. And every time I tell the story, a plane flies over. So there's a plane going over here in Los Angeles right now. But as far as out of body, it can be frightening and it can be beautiful. And a lot of times we can confuse it with, again, soul exchange or astral projection. And it's if you've ever experienced like sleep paralysis, we're out of our body at that time because the soul leaves, and sometimes you're frozen and you can't feel movement. You can't move your hands or arms or legs, and yet there's a vibration. There you are. Oh, much better. Thank you. Much better. So Karina's back, and she's outside so we can have a better connection. So the astral projection, or what's called witch's riding, when you feel something on top of you, that's another form of out of body because you're struggling with the spirit that's getting on top of you. But the re-entry is where we start to shake and vibrate, and you feel something happening, and then you kind of wake up. You're kind of in the ozone, but that's your body. Your soul re-entering your body. So we have out-of-body experiences in our sleep, but that's really called astral projection. It's learning the different terminology. What are you going to say, Karina?
No, I'm here. Sorry.
No, but but between astral projection and witch's riding and re-entry, and then out-of-body experiences from trauma, like surgery or the accidents or a gunshot wound or even being beaten up. I mean, we can leave our body to protect ourselves, just like I did when the fire truck, when I saw that truck coming at me and I froze, but I left to avoid more pain, even though I ended up having surgeries and everything, and I did get hurt. But I'm here. I'm not who I was. None of us are. But these out-of-body near-death experiences are real. Shireen, you can type in, have you had an out-of-body or a astral projection experience that you want to share? See if she types back. She will. She's been listening to me for. There she is. How do we jump in different dimensions to come back to this life with hacks? I don't even know what that question means. Do you understand that question? I don't know what you mean. It's not that we jump in.
I think
we reincarnate. Go ahead. Yeah, she says, how do we jump in different dimensions to come back to this life with hacks? I don't understand what that means. So you'll have to explain.
I think maybe she means like if we jump from like reality, maybe a different perception, like where maybe she means the hack, like where we can kind of predict things now, or we can help ourselves maybe heal or get knowledge. Maybe
is that what you're asking, Shireen? In this lifetime, not talking different lifetimes? Are you talking like how I opened the show talking about the difference between being in the physical world and the spiritual world, and they collide, and I can't always function because I'm in both worlds trying to get okay, we got it. Okay, so she wants to know, okay, for example, when I get crazy, like Rebel, who engineers the show, I had to call her twice today because I couldn't find the emails, and I have hundreds and hundreds of emails. I've got 5 or 6 different email addresses, and everything's trying to be organized and hitting me. And I thought, okay, I need the link, and okay, can you please call? Because I was in spiritual psychic mode getting ready for the show, but I had to think logically to set it up. And sometimes I can't even do something that simple because I'm already out there. So to answer your question, Shireen, a lot of times in our sleep, we will be programmed or we will be worked on, especially with the Palladians. You can read about Palladians, go online and Google Palladian theory. It's another planet and extraterrestrials. And we get knowledge, we get informed, we get educated by entities or aliens or outside spirits. And sometimes when we're coming back in to the dimension, as she's asking with the hacks, you can take a deep breath. You can start drinking water. With me, I sleep a lot and then I'm ready to go again. Everybody has a different way of re-entering from it. Yeah, it's hard. It's not like, hey, I guess I did 12 readings. And by the time I spoke to a friend, I was exhausted. It's not like this, just talking.
No, it's very different.
Is drawing their soul, their energy into yourself as the reader. And then the gift that Karina has that I do not have is she's got the gift of remote viewing where she can see things beyond what I can see. I get the outcome.
Yeah. But Linda has been reading me for, oh my God, I don't know, like what, 15, 12 years?
I don't know, something like that.
You know, and so here's a crazy situation. She knows of this person and she knows this person loves to, you know, harass, stalk, do whatever it's in their power. I'm not going to say female or male, but she knows about this person. And I literally asked her the other day, I said, oh, will this ex person call? It's not an ex-lover. It's just an ex-crazy person. And she said, oh, yeah, you know, by, you know, like Thursday or Sunday. The person literally called 17 times the next day. Messaged from every different phone number they can possibly get their hands on. And I was like, really? I'm like, you couldn't have waited till like Thursday at least. No, it was the next day.
The next day after you asked the question.
Everything that she has been saying, it doesn't matter if it's career, finances, home
your love life,
family, love life, neighbor stuff. Everything is 150% correct. I don't even have to.
Not with everybody, but most of the time.
You know, it's just, I'm like, huh?
But then you come up with describing a certain interior in a restaurant or a hillside
and
across the street.
In LA.
And you haven't, but she'll describe where I am. And I'm like, really? How can you see that? It's because I don't get the visuals like that. Although I do get images. I do get images, not as strong as they were 30 years ago. Yeah. And I think a lot of my gift, especially since I left the paranormal world, where I used to channel dead people all the time, I transitioned out of real deep paranormal and I went more clinical to help people in a more healthy wellness way, plus the psychic. But we all have different gifts. And Shireen wants to know if you can teach remote viewing. I don't know that it's teachable.
I don't think it's
more a gift that you have.
I think the way I started, I was looking for a very notebook, and this is prior to me meeting you or anyone else. I was so closeted, but I had to find this important document in this notebook. And I'm pretty organized. I mean, I call it organized chaos, you know, because when I organize things, I put things in a safe space and I just never find it.
She calls me to ask where she put it.
Yeah. But I was looking for this notebook and I just closed my eyes and I was like, well, I know it's somewhere in my bedroom. And I kind of didn't care. I stopped. I said, okay, fine. Maybe I'm supposed to like say goodbye to this notebook. And literally 10 minutes later, I opened my eyes and it's like, oh, it's right there. It's under the bed.
But a lot of times people say that's using my third eye. That's my third eye, or that's my consciousness, or that's my clairvoyancy, or that's my higher consciousness. It's our memory. But beyond that, I can lose things and find things, or how did you know I was going to find an envelope where I lost the money? And then, 3 months later, I find this envelope and I said, no, I looked and then it appeared, or we find things. I have this girl, Shirley, I'll bring on the show at some point. Shirley had called me hysterical years ago, and she had lost a lot of jewelry in a little pouch. And I said, oh, just go eat some ice cream and go back and look in the drawer. She goes, I did look in the drawer. I did this. I did that. I said, just go and call me back. And like midnight, she called. I found the jewelry just where you said it was. I found the purple pouch. I saw it. Sometimes I get super charged and I see it all, but it scares me to be that powerful. Just like when we had the riots here in 1992, I saw the city coming on fire, and I don't want that kind of gift. So I started to pull back. I don't want to be on Nostradamus. I don't want to know that kind of stuff. So Shireen, I think for you, it's more tuning in. I would have to talk to you off there and hear your voice and see what level you're at and where you can open up to learn or focus or practice
Yeah.
certain gifts. It's not something that happens overnight. You just don't get,
No.
a little hit on the head. Well, I did, but you just it takes a lot of time and work, and it's a lot of
Maybe even tarot would be a good thing for her to start. Maybe she can intuitively get a deck and kind of like not read, but maybe just look at the imagery and see
get
if
the
something.
tarot cards and see if something hits you, pops off the card, and you get an answer towards something. Most of the time I go to psychics for years, and rarely do the events ever happen. And yet with me, I can nail it for people. It's frustrating, and I don't understand it unless I'm under this curse where I'm blocked. I don't know. But I know I'm gifted. It's been able to help a lot of people. And I love helping people. If you want to get a reading or a healing or even get into my candles, you can go to lindasalvin.com and see everything. And Karina, why don't you give out your website if they want to read your email address?
So my website is www.karina.raquel.com, or my email address is mediumkarina@gmail.com.
Okay, we'll bring that back. So remote viewing is a whole different level of clairvoyancy, because I've had people describe cars, restaurants, clothing, events, almost as if the movie was playing in their mind and then it happened. I had a lot of that in the 90s where I would think or hear, oh, someone's going to be at this meeting and they're going to be wearing something pink and they're going to be sitting on the north wall where the chairs are, blah, blah. And darn if I didn't walk in and it was like that exactly. So I have it. I think most of us do, but people like Karina and myself, we've made it a career.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
But I remember a story, especially about what you just described. I called Linda because I had a very serious situation at my job. And I called her and I said, well, I have this really important meeting. It's really, with the state, it's not, just a meeting with your boss. This is a huge deal. And she looked at me and she said, well, wear pink sweater. And I was like, I don't own much of pink. Wear pink. I'm like, really, to a meeting that is so serious, like almost like life threatening here. She's like, wear pink. So I wore pink, and
Oh,
the guy's
yeah,
like,
because you're
oh,
supposed to wear blue or
hi,
black.
how are you? I mean, the meeting was just like very like loving, but I mean, obviously, it worked out in my favor after like a while, but she was just like, well, just, yeah, I understand, this and that. And I'm thinking, oh my God, if I wore a different pink, I probably would have been a little bit more hyper, but it was just like, yeah, no, I understand. Yes. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh my God.
I
And then I
can't
had a
help
job, and
control
then
what
I had a
happens. Yeah.
yeah, and then I had a job interview, and I asked her what to wear, and she goes like, "Wear something frilly." I'm like, "I don't know anything frilly." Yeah, you do. Okay, fine. So I found something really frilly in my closet. I put it on, and the meeting was like, "Oh, you're hired." I was like, "Huh? Like you don't know what you're working here?" Like, no. Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was so prepared, and yeah, yeah.
I read Karina, and Karina, I don't know what that means.
What?
Rebel, something with the stream is audio only. I don't understand. I have no idea.
That was a question. Sorry.
Oh,
They have a question. When
who?
you get a listener, they didn't leave a
Gotcha.
name.
Okay.
They want to know, when you left your body, did you get propelled out of your body, or you
No,
don't know how?
no, I do. I'll tell you what happened. It's a great question. Ask the person to show their name so I can address them properly. It's a great question. So what happens when you're out of your body? It's more of a whoosh, like an energy, like our soul, for lack of a better term. It's not like my stomach or my throat or my liver or my kidneys popped out of my body and I didn't start bleeding. But as we operate, we are all energy, right? We're 98% water, but our soul enters. This is my theory. I don't want to get into women's lib and women's rights and abortion. I have my own opinions on life. and death, because I've channeled for 18 years. I talked to dead people for people, and I stopped that. But the out of body is an energy thing where you feel like a whoosh of energy actually leaving, and it goes through the shoulders, through the crown chakra, which is the top of the head, and there's like a separation. The consciousness stays, the thought process is still there, like what is going on, but the vision and the sight is separated. Like here I am sitting in a chair, and you people are either in a chair or in your car, wherever you are, or you're laying down with the body, but your soul's not gone. It's inside. But what happened with me is this soul exchange took place, which is what this psychic Shirley was explaining to me back in 1981, when she said, whoever entered you came in on an angle and is a psychic. I said, I'm not a psychic. Well, how many books have I been written up in, and how many shows have I done, and how many people have I helped, and how am I known all over the place as a psychic and a healer, because all that happened. But the energy, which is hard to explain, is like, all I can say, it's like a like not a wave at the ocean, but it could be more agitation, like in the washer and dryer, when the washer is cycle and you hear that. But it left me. I was aware, but I felt different. And as I said, whatever it was, I was 50 feet out on the left side of my body for 4 months, while I stood 5 feet 8 for those 4 months. And it took time for it to start to integrate, or whatever it is, was, still is, I don't know, whatever took over me, because I am not who I was the day I got on that plane. No, the person that had 27 years behind her, I have some memories, but the actual ideas, talents, words, wisdom, gifts, I didn't have any of this before that accident. This is a result 40 years and some odd months later, 42 years actually, because it was 1981, that, I mean, I've struggled. I ran for 12 years. 12 years I did not want to be a psychic. I didn't want the gift. I didn't understand it. I would test it. Like this little voice would say, go at blah, blah by 7:47, not 7:45 or 7:50, 7:47. And damn if I didn't run into somebody I was supposed to run into, or meet a celebrity, or open a door to, I mean, just weird stuff. I tested it for a long time. The energy of the soul, I believe, enters upon birth. And when that baby starts to cry, and that first breath is inhaled, and they respond with the cry, and they welcome to the world in shock after being in the womb, I believe that's when the soul enters. The soul's not in the womb. The soul exits, and a lot of people have witnessed it when they're at the bedside of a person dying, crossing over. A lot of times you can see the soul leave the body. You can see the energy. You can see a film or a light smoke, or however it's presented. And I'm getting chills again. So we're energy. So we inherit genes biologically, DNA, what makes us people, skin, blood, brain, heart, etc., how we think, how we function, how we go to school, how we learn, how we pay bills, how we drive a car, whatever. But the soul is that unique part of each of us that makes you unique. So your soul hopefully heals through time, because we're here on this planet to heal from past life pain and get it right, hopefully, or to outgrow certain aspects of it to become more whole as a human. So we integrate the mind, body, spirit. That's when you hear the mind, body, spirit. What they really mean is to bring the mental with the physical and the emotional to the spiritual all into one, so you don't feel fragmented, which I was, which I learned, which I teach, which I help. Because if you think about the definition of health is, and this is through the World Health Organization, Department of HEW, they define health as the state of mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being, and not merely the absence of disease. And after I was in these accidents and my background's healthcare, I was trying to figure out, what am I going to do? And then I realized, well, nobody's talking about spiritual health. They are now, but back then they weren't. So it was all part of this journey that I say they, meaning the gods, the spirits, whatever, something indoctrinated me. They chose me out of billions of people to go through these weird accidents, to shake me all up, to make me into a different type of person, to give me another path, a new career. And here I am. I'm turning 70 years old. I'm like, what happened?
And she's my spiritual mommy.
Yeah, I am like her spiritual mommy. I'm like the spiritual mommy to a lot of people. But
Sure.
I've gone through hell and back, people. We all do in our own way.
True.
But if you're questioning your soul's purpose, you start by saying, be still, for I am God. And get quiet enough to hear that inner voice that's not your mom, your dad, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your teachers, whatever, yakking, because we all have a committee going all the time. It's learning to find that center. And you don't have to go to an ashram, and you don't have to be with a yoga group. You can do it right where you are. Just go, be still, for I am God. God's out there directing all this, but there's also God inside. And you find that. And I'm not talking religious at all. This is not about religion. Spirituality is what we are. It's the stars, the moon, the animals, the fruits, the trees. It's horrible what's happening in Hawaii, and it's horrible what's happening around the world with Ukraine. There's a lot of negativity that goes on, but our job in the middle of the crisis is to still try to find the balance, because a lot of things were out of control. We can't do anything about it. You're from Ukraine. It must be horrible to know what's going on over there. I remember you told me that your school was bombed at the very beginning.
It is hard, but because I know there's a greater reason, and I don't want to get into politics, but I know there's a greater reason for that. But I do feel bad for the people who are experiencing it through the first experience, which is people who live over there. They know that their life was calm on, February 23rd, and at 3 a.m., they start bombing on the, so it's like 24th of February. I mean, people went to bed planning their lives, that they were going to go to work, buy grocery, go take their children to daycare, and now their life are very much disrupted. And I say, we take our life really, truly for granted, because we live in a country where we are safe. But again, how safe are we? Like, it could happen tomorrow here. So I think every day we have to live as our last day, because we have to experience life to the greatest potential and love that God gave us. So we have to remain calm, peaceful, and try to help one another in order to overcome whatever it is.
I agree. And that's what we try to do as light workers, is to shed the light, because a lot of people have the conflicts in love, career, money, their own soul purpose or whatever. And that's why not everybody's a psychic. Not everybody is in the health industry or the spiritual health education. We all have different talents. We all have different purposes. We all have different procedures. And we all have to help each other, but people come for direction. Excuse me. People come for direction. They come for healing. They come for hope. They come for faith. And a lot of people, as you know, we want to know what's going to happen. So the predictions, there's a comfort in knowing the future, especially if the reader's right and it happens. Then there's the disappointment, and then we as psychics get blamed. It's our fault if it didn't happen. People have free will. People have free will. The timing might be off. Something might have gone wrong, especially in soulmate situations. Has to be now. No, it's on its own time. One person's on a different level than the other, and they have to grow. There's the soulmate twins, where there's the run, chase, crash, burn, up and down, in and out. It could take years, but if it's meant to be, they always come together. I've got 4 people right now that I've been working with over the last 3 or 4 years. Oh, is he ever going to call? Are we ever going to see each other? Oh my God, he wants to go to Peru. Now he's taking me here. Because the time of the clashing around finally came together, and they're happy. It's happening. And that's what I love seeing. I got one person who's real angry because she doesn't want him yet. It's yet. She's not ready. But he thinks that she should be ready. So you can't always explain to somebody the inner self. He himself has to change. You yourself had to change. Look what's going on in your own life. He's come back, and now he wants to get married, even though you've rejected him a few times. But now it's coming into focus,
Well, yeah. deposit was made, so we're just waiting for it to be done. So
Yeah,
maybe when you
yeah.
have your next show,
Yeah,
I
you
will
can come out with the ring. But to answer the question about the soul, it's a feeling of separation, but it's not painful. It's not a painful experience. It's a overwhelming experience. It's a like your
It's
brain.
emotional too.
What?
It's emotional too.
It's very emotional. When I had the white light experience in 1984, and the paramedics had to pry me out of my car, and I had already been through the plane crash, and then I was hit by the fire truck, and then I got in this accident, and then I literally saw the white light go from this top of my head to the ceiling of my car, and this loud voice said, "You can come with us now or stay and do." And I was spinning out. I was driving a Camaro at the time, and the paramedics came to get me. I got on the pavement before they took me to UCLA emergency. I said, "They want me off the planet. They want me off the planet," because I did not know why all this stuff kept happening. But I do remember, that's what I said. I remember I had a vision of like a pie cutter on the top of my head, and I saw mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional aspects. It's like they showed me, this is life, and you're going to be this light. And I'm like, it was horrible. I got rushed to the hospital. I called some friends to come pick me up. And they said, "Another accident, Linda?" I said, I didn't cause any of them. It just happened. No, that one, I may have caused that one. It was a rainy night, and I broadsided somebody when all the lights were out. So I may have been at fault at that, but I didn't cause a plane crash nor the fire truck.
No.
Yeah. But these experiences and the soul leaving, there's no pain. So if you're questioning what it feels like, it's more than an overwhelm. You would definitely be aware of it.
Yes.
You cannot just say, "Oh, I think I had an out-of-body experience. Oh, I think I had a near-death experience."
No,
And I've had people come up to me, "Oh, let me tell you my story." It's like, it doesn't work that way, But I don't suggest it.
No.
But if you're looking to astral project, there's plenty of books out there on teaching yourself how to astral project. That's a safer way to experience the spiritual world. Yeah. Yeah.
But I also think having those experiences that you've had, I mean, mine were not as traumatic as yours.
Yours came from your grandmother. You inherited a lot. You have a whole. I was not psychic before all this stuff.
Well, but what I was trying to say is, yeah, absolutely. But I think your experiences shaped you to be who you are,
Yeah.
because your gift is extremely powerful. And I've been around the block. Like, I've talked to people who, charge, X amount of dollars. And I'm like, huh? I'm like, where did you come up with that? Because it didn't make sense. And then you go to like the ones that, would stop you in the middle of the street and be like, "Give me your palm." And you're like, "Okay, fine, here you go." And the information would be like,
What?
huh? Like, you give precise information, you give it with humanity, you give it without judgment. I mean, as bad as stuff I've done, you've never judged it. You're like, "Okay, well, yeah, okay, well, you did that, all right." You just give it in a way that I gravitate towards you, because I know, number one, it's without judgment. I know you've lived a longer life than I have. I mean, your experience 1981. I was born in 85. I mean, that's like 4 years ahead. But your experience shaped who you are and the way you give information. Like, again, I am 30. I'm going to be 38, but my experiences don't come up to yours because mine are different. But your information, you give it with such integrity that if I write it down, I know it's going to happen.
Most of the time.
99% of the time.
I have gratefully clients that I've been reading 20, 25, 30 years, and some have full notebooks. Remember when you said this? I say no, but they'll read the chapter or read the paragraph, and it happened, or he married, or he came back, or she went away, or she went on vacation, or she bought the house, or she relocated, or the job came through. I mean, life predictions happen. They will happen. I'm also the first to say no.
Oh God, yes.
I'm also the
You
first to
told me
have
not to
this.
do something, but I did it anyway.
Yeah, I warned you about this one thing we're not going to discuss. I said, no, I think no. And if I get
No.
confused, I'll go to somebody who reads me who's in another country for validation to get in a little deeper than what I may not be picking up. We all help each other.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah.
But no, I
Um,
knew that was a no, and you did it
yeah,
anyway. But you're
but
surviving. It'll work its
yeah.
way through
Um,
the
but
system.
I also think the way you give a no, you explain why there is a no. Most people be like, nah, and you're like, okay. And then you leave with like 10,000 more questions. With you, you don't. You actually leave with clarity.
I
You
try
leave
to be
with
more
like,
diagnostic and clarify things.
yes,
I
and
do.
that's
I
what's
do.
really attractive about the way that
Thank
you
you.
do it.
Thank you. Yeah, that's where I became the metaphysician because I have the science background, but I've got a diagnostic mind where I can hear a person's voice very quickly. And I know within 10 seconds, do I like this
Or like
person or
two
not?
seconds.
Maybe two. I mean, I jump. I do get jumpy because if they're attacking or coming on too strong, I had a business person call yesterday and they wanted like $100,000 to invest in something. I'm like, I'm not giving you 100,000. I don't even know this guy, but he goes, well, you're missing out on blah. And he went on and on. I said, thank you, but no, thank you. And I hung up on him. Then he called
Yep.
back. Did I hear you just hang up on me? I said, yes, but I said, thank you. I'm not interested. But he was pushing. It's like if he was so okay, why did he get so angry? Then he
Mhm.
told me about all my problems
Yep.
and what type of woman am I? I'm like, well, I just said no. I did not want to spend or invest with this guy. And I heard it in his voice. It was either a scam or I would not, whatever. I felt wrong. And he didn't like me saying no. And I'm sure each and every one of us go through these issues where we say no or we get rejected and the pain. And then we wonder, what did we do wrong or why don't they like me? We all have the same tapes, people.
Yep.
So again, be still for I am God. Quiet the mind. I used to call it K fuck over here and K love over here, and you just change the dial on the radio station, which in the old days we had knobs, and you change the mind. But you don't want an out of body experience. I
No,
don't know her
definitely
name, but you do not want it. It's not fun, and it's not something to brag about, and it's not something I would wish on even an enemy. Really,
not.
it's
It's very emotionally frightening, and it's very because
it's
you can't
traumatizing, and
really
then learning
how to
deal
live
with
a
it.
normal
Yeah, it's
life.
different. Yeah, no, it changes everything.
Yeah, yeah, it's very difficult.
When you're working with people, Karina, and they want to know their love life or if they're going to get the job or if he's going to call. Like some people say, am I going to see him tomorrow? And I say, I don't read immediates. I cannot tell you if you're going to hear from them tomorrow. It was one thing to know about that person in your life. It came out so clear. But the average person, they just want to know that this is it. They're going to get married. He loves her forever. And they're like, 23 years old and this is not it. But it's hard to say no, or it's hard to tell the truth. And then you get bashed or one starred or whatever is going on in today's world of the internet. But I don't want to play with people's lives, and
No,
neither do you.
it's
We
very
take on a
dangerous. It's a very
responsibility of
dangerous game.
helping and dealing with sensitive issues. But we're not all perfect, and I've
No,
never, ever said I was 100% accurate because I'm not. Some people,
no,
I nail it all the time, and other people, it's like I can't even read them.
yeah. Well, I also think not being able to read someone, there's a greater purpose. It's almost like you're being blocked from the negative or from the horrible review. And I just say, you know what, I'm sorry, I'm not the person for you. Maybe I am the best, maybe your XXX friend recommended, but I can't because I don't want to take that responsibility of having them, be mad because that's
No,
not,
that happens a lot if we're talking to somebody on the phone or in a chat or
yeah,
something, and you can feel it, like the
yeah,
desperation or the neediness, or
it's a
it's
lie
got to be
or
the way I
something.
wanted or your crap. Yeah, well, it
Yeah,
doesn't work that way,
yeah,
If life were that easy, we wouldn't be in these
yeah,
predicaments in the world, in our personal lives, and the
no,
external world. But let's get back to out of body experiences because we've got about another 10 minutes here, 5 minutes here. So, the out of body experience can take place usually in a trauma. It's not through sleep. Again, that's astral projection. So I want people to understand the different types of soul movement. It's a soul experience. Um, some people have a real negative soul. They come in from a past life that had them destroyed, that they never quite learned how to adapt in this life, which was their reason for reincarnating. They did not heal, or they're just full of venom all the time to the point that you just can't deal with them, or they're so egotistical. You want to get away because the narcissistic is like, oh my God, how does this one function? Everybody's got a different persona. Everybody's got a different vibe. You find your tribe, you find where you belong, and you find out you're not crazy. You just need different people to understand your gift, ability, curse, whatever you want to call it, because sometimes it's hard. Like Karina works with children a lot, and you have to turn that off. But then she'll say, what they think about this when I did blah, blah. And I'll say, well, it's because of your gift that you were able to handle this child in a way none of the others could. And you don't, it's like with me, I lack some of the ownership, just like you do. It's not an egotistical thing, but I have to remind her that her ability to handle some of the children that she works with that have issues, it's because of her spiritual gift and her way of communicating that other teachers around may have difficulty, but yet she always brings it home. Same thing with animals. The more spiritual we are, we're going to draw in cats, dogs, birds. They love us, children. And if you see that in your own life, it's because your spirit's more pure and they feel safe. It's just like when you don't feel safe, just like with me in the plane crash, I left, or I was being told to change, or who knows anymore. But back then, I was scared to death. It took 6 years to recuperate just from the plane crash before I even got into what was happening later. So we have so many different aspects of soul retrieval, soul recognition. That's the soulmate. You see somebody, you connect with them, it's like their eyes, they seem so familiar, or you hate somebody right away. Get away from me, because you have soul recognition. We can do a show on that at some point. But I don't know, is Karina coming back? Or are we going to close the show, Rebel? I don't know where we are. So Shireen asked one more thing. Can we tell us what were you asking, Shireen? And it got cut off. Anyway, if you want more information, book a reading, healing, or session with me at drlinda@lindasalvin.com, or just go to the website, lindasalvin.com. It's all there. You can see my readings. You can see my radio station. You can hear the replay of this show. You can go to my YouTube channel where this is at Dr. Linda Salvin. Twitter is at Psychic Dr. Linda, but it's just easiest to go to lindasalvin.com, book a session, get into the candles. I'll start explaining Wicks of Wisdom, which is my candle magic line. Take a moment. And I have been into candle magic since, yes, of course I give discounts. Email me. The candle magic, I was trained in 1999. We were on TV in 2008 and 9 with Kris Jenner being the host of the show before they had Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I paid her to be my show host. There's oils, herbs, powders. There's a whole system put together. Then there's a petition. They teach you what to write in the petition. It gets burned in the flame. Think of the candle in Hakma, which is Hakma in Kabbalah, which means the soul of man. Candles are the soul of man. And the wick, when lit, is the flame, which is light, which is God. So it's all spiritual. I do spiritual work. Now I'm not doing the work of the devil. I've heard that all my career. No, I'm not. But we put the petition in, magic starts to happen. How does it work? We don't know. It's magic. For more information, it's all at lindasalvin.com. There's videos. But if you call or email me, you will get a discount off the sets. And yes, if you email me, I'll give you a discount off the reading. You cannot get the discount. There's a 10% discount online right now if you sign up for the newsletter. So I think that all comes through. Anyway, I'm going to say goodbye. Next Tuesday, I have Sharon Winters and a woman named Carolina coming on, and we're going to be talking about these amazing products to detox your body, because with all the elements out there that we're exposed to, we want to be the healthiest we can be. So that's the physical and the emotional and the mental improvement. Then Wednesday, I've got Candy Finnegan, and we always do a recovery show. So people who may be recovering or need help with alcohol or drug addiction or food addiction, or coming out of rehab, or trying to live a more spiritual life with not being so affected by what's out there, we have solutions. So that's on Wednesday, and then I'll be back on Thursday. So we got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm live every day, those 3 days right here on this network and all the other platforms that are carrying the show. of Talk for TV and W4WN. I want to thank Rebel for managing this. And we're going to go out with my little outro, and I'll see you soon. But be sure to call off the air, and I'll be glad to help you. Bye.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed today's program with Dr. Linda. Need a breakthrough of your own? Ready for answers or insights nobody else has? Reserve your own one-on-one in-person chat. Dr. Linda isn't just for other people. Dr. Linda gets results for you. And it's easy. Contact details are on screen now. Just click on lindasalvin.com or call toll-free 888-509-1077. That's lindasalvin.com or toll-free at 888-509-1077.